Welcome to a new season of Asian American Life. I'm your host, Ernabel DeMillo. I'm standing in front of CUNY, the City University of New York, one of the most ethnically diverse universities in the country. Back in 1993, CUNY started the Asian American Studies program at Hunter College, a critically important program, especially today, during this time of Asian hate. I'll have more on that story, but first, here's a look at what's ahead. Finding love, creating art in honor of COVID patients. Meet Thi Vu, engineer executive by day, rapper by night. Plus, Jamaican Chinese farmers plant their roots in New York. And we kick off the football season with an exclusive interview with former NFL New England Patriots and Philadelphia Eagles football star Eugene Chung. This and more on Asian American Life. With the rise of anti-Asian hate this past year, advocates and students are asking that schools and universities do their part by adding Asian American history to the curriculum. The history of Asian American studies can be traced back to 1968 when students from San Francisco State walked out of the classroom and fought for the creation of an ethnic studies program.
When they raised us, they said this is a country, with freedom and justice for all. And so we said, okay, well, we're going to call you on it. Why can't we study this?
After the longest student strike in U.S. history, San Francisco State created the College of Ethnic Studies, which led to separate departments of Black, Latino, and Asian studies programs around the country. At CUNY, Betty Lee Sung and Thomas Tam co-founded AARI, the Asian American Asian Research Institute. In 1993, Hunter College established the Asian American Studies program.
We're really fortunate. We offer the most courses in Asian American Studies, teach the most students in Asian American Studies within the entire CUNY system.
The classes attract students from a variety of disciplines. This past school year, more than 1,000 Hunter students took courses covering a broad range of topics, from the history of Asians in the U.S., to the Muslim diaspora, to literature and the arts, all with a common thread.
Asian American Studies is telling the story of America and how Asian Americans fit into that story, have played a leading role in that story.
But Hunter and CUNY still do not offer a major in Asian American Studies, which traditionally translates to more stability and funding. In fact, only a handful of colleges do. According to College Board, only 26 universities have an Asian American Studies major. With the recent rise in violence against Asian Americans, activists and students across the country are asking administrators to do more to support Asian American Studies and programs. Because AAPI history is rarely taught in grade school, college is the one place students can have the opportunity to learn not just about their own family's histories, but U.S. history.
We learn about the fact that Asian Americans are so critical to the story of America, that anti-Asian hate is not just something that has come to afflict our nation and the world, actually, in the last year and change, right? That anti-Asian hate has been in the United States for more than 150 years, Ernabel, for as long as Asians have been in the United States.
I think when all communities begin to understand that we have walked a part of the path together, we have all walked across the same segment of a path in becoming American, then the greater appreciation for one another is going to help us understand that Black lives matter. It's going to help us understand that Asian Americans made contributions to this country, as did many other communities.
Joyce Moy, Executive Director of AARI, says an investment in Asian American studies, from scholarly work to research, will help boost CUNY's Asian American students in the classroom and beyond. More than 20% of CUNY students identify as AAPI.
This is where the Asian American Studies classes and courses become so important. When young people are empowered by knowing what their history is, knowing what their contributions to this country is, understanding the issues that are so important and need to be voiced, that is the beginning of the pipeline.
It's a pipeline, she says, that can lead to higher places. And who knows, maybe even the president's office. I'm Ernabelle DeMillo for Asian American Life.
The origami crane is a symbol of hope and longevity. But for one mom and son, it came to represent a more immediate measurement of time and immeasurable loss during the pandemic.
For me, the cranes really symbolize every day that we survived.
Hundreds of handcrafted cranes create a timeline of a life lived during the pandemic for mom and writer Grace Lowe Persad, who started folding origami cranes with her 13-year-old son Devin when her family went into lockdown in March of 2020.
I had this idea to keep track of the time that we were spending in isolation by making one origami crane for every day. I had recently visited the Japanese American National Museum. I was inspired by how people continue to go on with their daily lives during the hardest of conditions, during the Japanese American internment in World War II.
In many Asian cultures, the crane represents good fortune because of its fabled lifespan of 1,000 years. In Japanese tradition, it's believed that if one folds 1,000 origami cranes, one's wish will come true, making the crane a symbol of hope and healing during challenging times. But for the Persads, at first, folding cranes was simply a welcome diversion to screens and a way to pass the time after family walks.
Well, it started out as just an art project, and as we came along, it was more of a symbol of the time that we lost to the pandemic.
After months of daily folding, the pair posted pictures of the cranes on social media, which garnered lots of attention, including media coverage. But the daily ritual became tedious, and the Persads stopped creating cranes every day, instead making large batches to meet milestones.
I was expecting to only get to like 100.
But on day 200, after making 200 cranes, Grace felt the gravity of the milestone.
When we got to 200 cranes, it was actually the same week that the US hit 200,000 COVID deaths. And so at that time, I thought each one of these cranes, 200 cranes, represented 1,000 people whose lives were lost to the pandemic.
Grace says making the cranes was a creative outlet during a time of unspeakable loss.
Art is what enables us to express ideas that can't be expressed any other way.
Grace and Devin decided to end their project this past June when every member of their household had been vaccinated and restrictions were lifted. In all, they had made 465 cranes.
Towards the end, when we got to, the 365 and 465, some people were saying these should go into a museum.
An idea that's already been on display nationwide, with origami cranes popping up in Princeton, New Jersey at the Princeton Paper Crane Project, and right here in the city at the 9/11 Memorial Museum. Visitors are encouraged to make and share their origami cranes on social media. For now, the Persads cranes sit stored in a box at home. Grace hopes to display the birds at Devin's school in remembrance of a time that's hard to define.
The only way to kind of understand something so big and so encompassing is to zoom in on something smaller at a scale that we can comprehend.
For Asian American Life, I'm Susan Jun.
I'm Kyung Yoon. Hip-hop is a musical genre known for being male-dominated, but more and more female rappers are making their voices heard, including Asian American hip-hop artists. I spoke with the rapper T. Vu of Magnetic North, who's been breaking boundaries in more ways than one.
I gotta get home. Hadn't thought it possible, but I forgot my own road.
Home for Teresa Vu, also known as the rapper T. Vu, is more than one place. She's at home rhyming and dropping beats as the female vocalist of the hip-hop group Magnetic North and Tayo Na. Their hit song, Home Word, has more than 1 million views on YouTube and rose to the #2 spot on Japan's hip-hop charts.
I'm homesick though, in my own zip code, wistful, swimming like a fish in a fishbowl, wishful, what am I searching for? I'm looking for a place where I don't search no more.
But T. Vu is also at home in the world of technology as a senior engineer who's held executive positions at some of the biggest tech companies in New York City and been recognized as a leader in the field.
My parents really wanted me to have a financially stable career. So even though I grew up with a very strong calling to do music, it was just, I have to do this for my family, and I have to do this because I will die if I don't write these songs.
A daughter of Vietnamese refugees, T. Vu was born in Portland, Oregon, and grew up in Northern California. Her extended family includes uncles and aunts who made a living as musicians in Vietnam, but found it impossible to pursue musical careers in the United States.
They tried to start a career, made CDs, made albums, they made a lot of music. They are fantastic musicians. And that was a story that I grew up hearing and was a huge reason why my father had pushed me to not be a musician here, because he saw firsthand that it wasn't possible, back then, and didn't want that life for me.
To please her parents, T. Vu pursued a master's degree in computer science, with the game plan being to make enough money as a programmer to build up some savings so that she could pursue music full time. But then,
to the surprise of everyone, my parents included, I really enjoyed the technical problem solving of it, and I started to get very good at programming, and more so than that, became a engineering manager. And then I just kept getting promoted and running larger teams. And all alongside it, I couldn't give up music. It was like an imperative. There was just things that I wanted to record, things I wanted to say.
So even as her tech career took off, T. Vu kept up rapping, together with musicians Derek Khan, her partner in the group Magnetic North, and Tayo Na. This year, she decided it was time to step back from the tech world and devote herself 9 to 5 to music.
I felt like I gave my tech career the first chair status for that part of my life, and I wanted to see what it'd be like to give my music career first chair, status.
History that you can't ignore. America, I'm the leader I was looking for. America, never silent, keeping score. America, and it's time I needed more. We're still here. We're going strong, and we're getting tired of proving we belong.
In the surge of anti-Asian sentiments and violence this year, Magnetic North and Tayo Na released the song We Belong 21 as a tribute to photographer and activist Corky Lee, who died of complications from COVID earlier this year.
We make it a point to make songs for the community. I feel like representation in music is such a core part of feeling like you belong and having something to listen to that speaks to you.
T. Vu is working on her first solo album and also thinking about ways to integrate aspects of art, tech, and leadership. I'm Kyung Yoon for Asian American Life.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am Asian American.
I'm an Indian American.
I'm biracial.
I'm South Asian American.
I am Chinese American, and we belong.
I belong.
I belong.
I belong.
I belong.
We belong.
We are American.
We are American.
We are Americans.
We are Americans.
We are American.
You've heard about people picking up new skills during the pandemic. This one family with Chinese Jamaican roots learned how to grow food when their soccer business was sidelined by COVID-19.
You see that? So we keep it out of the tunnel, and then we also keep this fruiting probably past Thanksgiving, you know, and just continue to burn more holes, add more fruit.
And these will survive in the winter time?
Well, we'll cover it.
A couple of years ago, avid soccer players Douglas Lin and his sons made their field of dreams come true. They pulled their resources together and started a new venture, Lin Gardens and Soccer Camp, a training ground where they plan to cultivate the region's best soccer players in Wappinger Falls, New York, about an hour north of New York City.
So this is Lin Gardens. Over here to the left is going to be where our dome is.
But their plans for soccer camp was deflected by the pandemic.
So we were now looking at newly built fields that we couldn't use because COVID canceled soccer. And so then we had to shift our mindset. We had to learn how to farm during a pandemic.
4,000 blueberry bushes were revived for folks to pick through, and the Lins planted vegetables alongside the soccer fields.
We just started growing it, and people loved it, and they bought it.
Peter Lin chalks up his business agility to soccer, his work in cancer research for more than 25 years, and his roots as a Chinese Jamaican.
My last name is Lin, should be Ling. It's been changed several times. My grandfather went to Jamaica from China.
So my father was born in Canton, China in 1900, the year 1900.
Douglas Lin's father was part of the second wave of Chinese immigrants seeking better opportunity in Jamaica in the early 1900s. The first wave of Chinese immigrants started after slavery was abolished in Jamaica in 1834, and British colonialists brought indentured laborers from China to work the sugar plantations. By the 1950s, Jamaica had the second largest population of Chinese immigrants in the Caribbean after Cuba. Today, close to 200,000 Chinese Jamaicans live on the island.
My dad, once he could speak a little English, happened to meet my mother, got married, and had 4 children.
Like many Chinese Jamaicans, Douglas left for the U.S. in pursuit of better opportunity in the early 60s.
I came to this country in 1965, July 16th. I came with $10 US in my pocket at Kennedy Airport.
With a student visa, Douglas graduated from CUNY's own New York City College of Technology and found a job at a pharmaceutical company where he worked for decades.
This is a pumpkin. It's not the lightest thing I've ever held.
Lin Gardens and Soccer Camps is a father and son's retirement plan that's grown into an agricultural enterprise.
It was a challenge in the beginning. You don't see a Chinese farmer around every day.
Douglas is right. Farms owned by people of color are rare indeed. Nationally, Asian farmers make up less than 1% of the country's 3.2 million farmers in 2012. Black farmers make up just 2%. The financial burden of running a farm is steep. Peter Lin says it's all worth it.
We want to grow young farmers, and we want to grow young soccer players also. But if we can really, get the kids to touch the soil and, understand the plants and, get excited about growing food, we could really make an impactful change.
For Douglas, the farm and soccer camp is an anchor for a family with a long history of migration.
This was my legacy of my hard work and my achievement in America. This will become the first Asian African stadium owned by one family, operated by one family. That is my goal, and I can see it right in front of my eyes. It's revealing itself. I'm a very happy man because I know it can be done.
For Asian American Life, I'm Rainer Ramirez. On Asian American History this month, we honor Dr. Dorothy Cordova, who along with her late husband, Fred Cordova, co-founded the Filipino American National Historic Society, or FANS. A daughter of a Filipino miner, Dorothy Cordova was born in Seattle and says preserving Filipino American history was a work of love. For decades, the Cordovas traveled the country collecting images and documents about Filipino American history, which began more than 400 years ago. The Cordovas first introduced October as Filipino American History Month in 1992 to commemorate the arrival of the first Filipinos in North America. They discovered shipping logs from Spanish galleons that revealed Filipino merchants arrived in Morro Bay, California as early as October 18, 1587. Today, FANS has more than 35 chapters around the U.S. In Seattle, it houses the National Pinoy Archives, one of the largest collections of Filipino American history in the country.
I'm Minnie Rowe. Seeing Asian Americans competing in professional sports is no longer considered rare or noteworthy. But there was a time when that was not the case. In 1992, Eugene Chung made headlines when he became the first Korean American to be drafted in the first round in the NFL. And he continues to make headlines to this day. There's no doubt that this was the pinnacle of Eugene Chung's groundbreaking career in the NFL. As an assistant coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, Chung played an integral role in the team's victory in Super Bowl 52.
This game took about 5 years off my life. To be able to wear this and say you were a world champion, you're a Super Bowl champion. And as kids, we watched it. It's absolutely just, it's phenomenal, it's surreal.
Chung's journey in the NFL began in 1992 when the New England Patriots drafted him in the first round from Virginia Tech. His career also included time with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Philadelphia Eagles, which culminated in that Super Bowl win against his old team, the Patriots.
Don't let anybody tell you you can't, because I've had plenty of people tell me I can't from an early age, and this is proof. And this is one of the proofs right here, this ring that I always look at.
But his path to success was not always an easy one. In an interview with The Undefeated, Chung says that as a kid in high school in Virginia, fans would heckle him when he took the field, telling him to go home, you don't belong here. He says even his own coaching staff made racist remarks. One told him there was no way he would ever play Division I football because he was, quote, Oriental.
I had like a bullseye on my back when it came to that, and it was a big bullseye. I would get it from teammates, I would get it from coaches, I would get it from other players in the league and the fans. I mean, it was amazing that the things that were said to me.
But even more disturbing is his allegation that racism is pervasive in the NFL. In May 2021, Chung made headlines again, this time when he alleged that during an interview for a head coach position, he was told that he was not the right minority.
It was emotionally paralyzing. And when that was said to me, I was like, this needs to be brought to light now, because this needs to be fixed, and maybe they don't know.
After investigating Chung's claims, the NFL released a statement saying, after multiple discussions, we were unable to confirm the precise statement that was made, or by whom, and under what circumstances. And despite not reaching a conclusion in the matter, the NFL would use this occasion to reinforce the commitment to ensure diverse, inclusive, and respectful workforces on and off the field.
They're chasing the wrong problem. They're not chasing the snake. They need to heal the wound. If a snake bites you and slithers off into the bush, do you go and try to kill the snake? No, let's heal the wound. And the wound is that narrative right there. Let's clarify it so it puts everyone at peace and everyone at rest, and make sure it's done that way.
Chung says he doesn't hold a grudge against the league. In fact, his dream is to promote the sport he loves, to mentor youth, especially in Asia, to raise awareness about American football and make the sport more inclusive on a global level.
I'm not going to let any of this define who I am. I'm on to bigger and better things to help people out, to help kids out, and to bring everyone closer and to kind of break down all barriers when it comes to this.
I'm Minnie Rowe with Asian American Life.
That's our show for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about these stories, be sure to follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Asian American Life. I'm Ernabelle DeMillo. We'll see you next time.